Back to the Samantha Parker Show. Hey, I'm your host, Samantha. Let's dive on in.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Samantha Parker Show. I found the famous Jessica Burgio. I think you're famous, Jess. Look at you.
Well, I'll take it. Hell yeah.
I bet you're pretty famous in a lot of rooms, but
Rooms you don't even know about. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, wow.
I thought about it. I actually talked about it this morning.
Yeah. Okay, but you were a stylist, turned life coach, and a host of the top-rated podcast Unscripted. You have 20 years building six-figure businesses. Let me know if I get anything wrong, okay?
Okay.
And Jess has helped entrepreneurs level up their confidence, launch their own shows. Like, you help people launch their podcasts.
Yes, it's one of my most favorite things to do.
That's awesome. And your podcast is Unscripted. Okay, first off, like, why do you call it Unscripted?
It's kind of a lie because I do actually use some scripting now, so I do feel like a loser and that I'm lying to my guests, but I'm just kidding. I use ChatGPT to help me be more clear and concise, therefore prompting me a little bit better to give value in the show. So that's the joke, is now I'm not completely unscripted. But the way that the name came to be is I was originally Beauty Inspires Beauty, the podcast. I was in the beauty industry. I had opened my dream salon, and then COVID shut us down. So during that time, I had no more excuses, which were time and money holding me back from wanting to start the show. I had a microphone for 2 years. I was too scared to start the show. I wasn't clear on what I was going to talk about, what the name was going to be about, who I was going to be serving. I didn't have any other services or offerings other than my behind the chair business and salon ownership. And at that time, I was kind of winging it. I didn't know really what I was doing as far as salon ownership, meaning I didn't think I could teach it to somebody. I didn't think I could teach my work ethic, my mindset to other people. I hadn't figured out how I did it, and I had to kind of work backwards. So during that break, as we like to call it, I had a client who was a videographer, and he was like, I'll help you start your podcast. Let's do everything in studio. You got an empty space, invite your friends in, let's start the show. And so I started bringing my other salon friends in, whether they were in the industry, knew about the industry, and then it kind of pulled into people who worked through the industry, just anybody who would come in, because illegally we weren't supposed to be hanging out with each other. And I was terrible at first, but I really just wanted to share the stories that took place, like behind the chair, in the break room, the conversations we had to have within ourselves to be able to show up and do what we do, which is to work one-on-one, face-to-face with people day in and day out. Working with customers and touching people, it's no joke. People think it's like a glamorous business, but it's really only glamorous for the client. So there was a lot I knew and figured that I wanted to share. But as it started to come out, I was like, I think I'm going to be really good at this because I've been talking to people for 20 plus years. I'm like an expert on human behavior and body language. I can tell if someone's uncomfortable. I can tell if somebody doesn't like something. I had to be good at consultations because I had to understand what you wanted in order to give you the result you were asking for. And then in that process, I got to have really life-changing conversations with clients that would tell me things that they wouldn't tell anybody else. Or maybe I was the only person that touched them that day. So I really realized I had a lot more value than I had given myself credit for, and that I could go down really a lot of different rabbit holes because at that point, I had a kid, I had been divorced, life, right? I'm like, you're a person. You don't have to be a thing that talks about one thing. Like, you're multidimensional. You're kind of cuckoo, you have massive ADHD. What if you were just like yourself on the show and saw where it went? So like 40 episodes in, I started to feel kind of out of alignment with the brand I built, which was called the Beauty Inspires Beauty podcast, along with these beauty insider brunches I started hosting for people in the industry, really just creating networking within our industry that I felt didn't exist yet, because really anything that was available to us before was like cutting class or like some sort of like class, but it wasn't like us getting to connect with each other on sharing their shit. This was like just before everybody really started sharing formulas and their processes and all the freebies that we have now. I feel like people give away everything now, which I love. Like, we just share, we document, we process, we share all the processes. And so I was talking with my podcast management team at the time, and I just was like, I don't love the name anymore. I feel like it's not me. But I didn't want to hire a branding person. I just felt out of alignment. And so she said on the call, I said the word unscripted like 6 times. And she's, I think you really need to just call your show Unscripted. And I'm like, yeah, but that goes against everything that has to do with like SEO strategy. And that's not a pain point. People aren't staying up at night thinking about being unscripted. No one's going to Google me. But she was like, it's on brand for you. And you're someone who's pretty authentic. I think what is what you get with you. And so if you gave yourself permission to be completely unscripted, you could always change the name again. Let's just go for it. So that's what we did. So that's how we ended up on this name, long-winded answer. But I think it's important because a lot of people get stuck on the name and the show description and
Mhm.
exactly the value they want to give on the show and who it's specifically for. And it blocks them from ever even starting to kind of figure that out as they go. It's like they want to know the plan and see it super clear and have massive clarity before they take any action and put the reps in. And it just, in this case, doesn't work that way.
I think your brand needs to evolve with you. And in fact, this is something I wanted to mention too, is I do talk a lot on my podcast about being sober and spending the last year alcohol free. But I never want that to be my entire personality. And that's I reached out to you and I was like, I would love for you to come on my show and talk about podcasting, what you do, just because I'm like, I don't want that to be my everything.
Yeah. And I think, like you, at one point, that wasn't the main focus in your life, but
Mhm.
it became a new passion because you went down rabbit holes of other passions and you talked about that until this became the next thing. And that's the
Yeah.
part about content creation that we have to give ourselves grace around. You're going to evolve, you're going to change. And if you are willing and brave enough to document the process as you go through it, grow through it, that's how you become relatable and can connect with people, and they get into your life and in your story and they feel like they know you. And so then when you do have an offer or a product or an event or something that they can purchase from you or buy from you or connect with you, like a book or I don't know, they're in. Because I have people who have listened to the show for 6 months, 8 months, a year, all of the episodes for the last 4 years. And I never hear from them until one day I do, or I put out an offer and then they drop 10 grand on something. And I'm like, who are you? And they're like, oh, I've been listening to your show for 9 months. And I'm like, oh, I've been two different people in 9 months. So like, what part did you resonate with?
I know. Yeah. And that's why I wanted to call it the Samantha Parker Show, is because it's always going to evolve. And my other thing too is it's like I have a platform and it's like I want to talk to people. And it's such a cool way to get in front of other people, like in their space. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Absolutely. And you do a lot of things. You're not just one thing. And because you now don't drink, it's not, your whole personality, but it is a big part of a really solid, healthy habit that's then created a huge ripple effect in your life. So I am proud of you for speaking about it and sharing that it is a core like ethos of who you are now, because it will then attract other people who are drawn to that light. Oh, I want to feel like that. I want to have that be part of my story. So I think it's important to include like all parts of us, even the ones you think you don't or shouldn't lead with. I'm super faith based. I don't lead with it. I've started to speak more about God in my life and when I talk about it on the podcast and share on social media. And so I don't know if it's like the age where we're at, where we're less apologetic about who we are and what we want, or we just finally realize, like, you know what? It's okay to be yourself.
I think for quite a while, and if you felt like this recently, I feel like recently, the last maybe even 6 months, right? I feel like it's finally became okay to talk about God. Like I felt like I had to skirt for a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like,
Mhm.
why? Because I would always say God, and then I think, oh, or the universe or whatever you identify with. And now I don't care. I feel like something's opened up where it's okay to now talk about.
I agree. That and you probably don't care as much anymore. I think it's a mixture of both, because I've listened to people. Lori Harder's one of my mentors, and she would do that. She would say God or whoever you believe in, or universe or source. She would always put 4 or 5 different things in
Mhm.
there. And I love that. I love when you want to make sure everyone feels included. I really do. But I also think there's something about taking a role in a position of what you believe in. Doesn't mean what I believe in is better than what you believe in. So I often would get a little cringy when people would lead with, I'm faith based. And I'm like, as opposed to the fact that I'm not. I was like, why am I getting defensive? Maybe I'm faith based. Maybe that's my fucking issue. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I thought I started to be like, that's not a her problem. It's a me problem. Maybe I don't have the permission in my own head to talk about it. And yeah, something shifted for me. And I'm like, I was raised Catholic. My son went to a Catholic school for 6 years. I loved how I grew up. So yeah, anyways, we're going on a tangent now, but I think owning parts of you that sometimes feel a little bit not fully accepted by everybody universally are what make you unique. And so many people spend so much time trying to fit in and do what everybody else is doing that they just end up so vanilla and average that they don't stand out and they don't get to create the impact that they want because they're not willing to share the 1 or 2 things that might just connect them to the right people.
Amen, girl. I love that. Okay. You know why else I wanted to have you on my podcast? I'm really fascinated by what you've created. So are you in San Diego right now?
Yes.
Okay. So tell me, like, you created this space. I just want to hear about it. Tell me about it.
Okay, so this space was in like a vision that I had during my spiritual mastermind that I joined on a whim from a friend that I watched create this epic business. And I was like a spiritual mastermind. I was like, what the F am I getting myself into? Am I going to learn any strategy? The first couple calls, I was like, what is this? I think I joined the wrong program. She's like, Jessica, you did not join a business mastermind. I'm like, okay, that's right. I don't know if I want to do the work. And she's, that's fine. We'll go at your own pace. And I was like, frick. So it was a game changer for me. But when I had the salon after COVID, I rebuilt the salon. We were full, we were booked and busy. It was just a 5-chair salon, but it was awesome. It was like my dream space. And I had a girl that approached me and she wanted me to add an esthetician room in there. I knew her from before and I got this ping from the universe. Maybe it was God. It felt like a universal, like boom. And I was like, I do not want to build out a room for you. I was like, I want to sell my business to you. Do you want to buy it? And she was like, how much? Threw out a number. Yeah, sounds good. I was like, that was freaking easy. So literally it's a salon sale is an asset sale. It doesn't mean things are going to go with it. So I had to learn a lot about that. We did the sale within a couple of months. I thought my team would be fine and happy. They were all freaking pissed. I quickly realized that just because I didn't like to manage people didn't mean I didn't need a grounding space of my own. And so I work in this loft space where essentially there's restaurants down below us. We're on the second floor, right near the ballpark in San Diego, in the heart of East Village. This is a 100-plus-year-old building. There's these beautiful, like 1,000-square-foot lofts with real wood floors, 10-foot ceilings. Like they're just like a vibe. And when I had moved in, there was a whole marketing agency that had the other lofts. And then there was like another business that was in here. So it was like busy. It was all full. And then after COVID, everybody left. Nobody came back. And I was the only one in there. And so when she bought the business from me, there was another spot open at the end. And it had the windows and it was a little bit more vibey. And I was like, I think I want to open another space. Like I just sold this. Why would I go open another space? Okay, I can't open another salon. That would be wrong. I just sold her my salon, like stories that we tell ourselves, right? So I was like, I'm going to open a quote unquote creative space because I want a podcast in there. I want to have small events in there. I want to host my brunches in there. I want to do some hair in there. Yeah, I want my own clubhouse. So I created it just a little too early because people weren't quite ready to get back in person with events. And people weren't quite ready to like be there. And I didn't really have a business plan. And again, like I just kind of was throwing some shit at the wall. And at the same time, I had just started dating someone who lived in a different state. That was a $30,000 investment that I had to kind of walk away from because I wasn't ready to run that business yet. Fast forward 2.5, 3 years later, working from home, renting a chair from a different salon, an old salon that I worked at part-time. I still did my hair clients here and there. But in between then, I cute quit for a while and I gave a lot of my clients away and I went fully into the podcast and the online space and I launched my mastermind and I did all those things. And I kind of proved to myself that I could have an online actual business. And then hair became secondary and I started to fall in love with it again and realize like it is a piece of me and I love connecting with my clients, but I had to shift the order of what was important. And there was a second space next door to the space I opened and then left. That was actually my favorite space in the building. It has corner windows on both walls. And there's something in here that just feels so welcoming. And I talked to my partner about it. And I said, I need a grounding space again. And I know you do. You're like just spinning in the ethers. Like you need a space. And so we said, frick it. He came in, we brought a buddy, we threw up some walls. We built all this out. I have an office in here and I got my salon space, a mixed use space for events. We can host about 35, 40 people in here. Dropped another 20, 30 grand into the space. And I just have never felt more at home and peace with it now. Timing is everything. And you often don't know until you try something. And I've learned that there are investments that pay off sometimes and investments that don't. And you learn something every time you invest a tiny bit of money or a lot of money. You learn about who you are, what your risk tolerance is, how much skin you got to put in the game to show up for yourself. But now at 44 and a half, I feel like I've got it down. But it took a minute to get here. It really did. And I still don't have it fully figured out. But yeah, the space is just everything I always knew I needed, but was scared to create for myself. And yeah, I think a lot of us do that. We know what we need, but we're not willing to do the hard shit to get there and to make it happen. And I get that. It's scary to put yourself out there or spend money you might not have. But
yeah, how did like keep putting yourself out there? Because you know what I mean? It might have looked like, oh, you failed. And a lot of people would have been like, oh, she failed. And you would have been perfectly acceptable to go get a job. Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And my partner works for JP Morgan Chase. There are like 5 million jobs he could have got me. And I actually did go down that rabbit hole a couple of times, like entertaining the idea of going to get a safe 6-figure job. So much so that I had a couple of interviews and I was like, I can do this. I can do this. Yeah, we all can do anything we put our mind to. I know that. If you're listening to this show, you are somebody who is a get shit doneer. You probably can hustle your way into or out of anything. You know how to make money. You realize you can make money doing anything. Like all of us could go drive for Uber tomorrow or go get a job at Starbucks or Trader Joe's. That's not the point. We're here to do the things that light us up and the things that we're like supposed to be in purpose doing. And so for me, I tried to niche down a couple of times and only do one thing. But even when I was a behind the chair hairdresser, I saw personal training clients because I was always super obsessed with fitness and people would see me getting in shape for stuff. And when I started competing, it's just when you do something, people are attracted to it. So they were like, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, come train with me at the gym. So I doubled down on those clients. And same for here. I recognized that I wanted to bring community together. And I'm like, what's the easiest way to do it? For me to go into all these other rooms and to pay to get into other people's spaces or to bring them to me? And so we started hosting an event called the Entrepreneur Success Series here about 7 months ago. And I think it was in having a home for that I was like, this can be a home for a lot of other things, for other people's events, for other people's visions. I love to do like rebrands for people and like VIP days where we sit down and work out strategy in your business, but we also do hair, makeup, glam, and do a shoot for content that you might need. So I just realized like you can create whatever you want to exist. I see regular clients here. I've got my photographer that comes and shoots in here. You know what I mean? It's just like my playground. And so that really gives me so much purpose and passion to come in here. And what are we doing today? Today's podcast day. We've been on fire, just podcast after podcast today.
Yeah. So tell me about your Entrepreneur Success Series, because I saw you doing it and I was like, oh, I want to go to that. And then I realized it was just like maybe like a local thing. It was funny. Like I've been following you online for years. We've chatted a lot over the years. And I think you've come into a really beautiful place. But I saw you doing that and I was like, what is that? Is that something I want to go to? So I just want to hear about it.
So I met a girl, her name was Jamie, in Arizona at one of Lori Harder's Girlfriends in Businesses, which is her one day. She used to host these one day cool, like all women kind of mastermind days. And a couple different people told each other we needed to meet each other because we were both from San Diego, but we were in Arizona. I hosted a little girls get together at my house because our other house is in Scottsdale. My partner lives out there, and a fiance, sorry. And
I was like, are you getting married?
Yes, we are in December. So she ended up coming to my house and we got to connect, and then we got back to San Diego. We went for a few coffee dates and we started to get to know each other. She's a Facebook and Instagram ads expert. She's probably about 10 years younger than me, but we clicked, we vibed. She's super cool. And I told her about my idea of creating community. And she was like, yeah, I wanted to create like a bigger scale event, but I need to funnel people into that. It would be fun to do a smaller event / build a community. I was like, listen, I have this space. What do you think if we put 6 of these events on the calendar, committed to first Thursday of every month, and we just figured out like what our thing was? And she had been a part of a mastermind where they shared what they called cheat codes. So she's like, what if we have guest speakers come and share like one takeaway cheat code that the audience could have some sort of like tangible takeaway with, that if we have 3 people, they'll probably touch on something universal for the room. So we had to work out the kinks, how it flowed and whatnot. She is a great teacher. I love to facilitate. So I'm really good at moderating. So we tried a few different things. It got better and better. We brought a DJ in. We have someone doing bartending stuff for us. We have a really good time networking beforehand and after. Like people just don't want to leave, which is annoying because I'm like a 9:30, you got to go home. But it's worked out beautifully because what I learned is it's essentially like a live podcast with 3 guests sharing one tangible, successful cheat code that's helped them in business or life. And we've gotten better at helping them get their story out because as a podcast host, not everybody can land the plane. So I got better at moderating those questions, making them relatable to the audience. But we just put it up on Eventbrite and we've sold out almost every single time. And it's really built a nice community within San Diego. And because she can run ads to it, we've ran ads and got a lot of traffic. So we got a couple hundred followers already on the page. And we were hoping to turn some of the content into a private podcast at one point. But summer came, we took a little break, but our next event is August 2nd. If you are local to San Diego or want to come into town, it's going to be a day event, which might be a little bit easier to attend. It's from 10 to 2, talking about the power of AI in your business and how to utilize it to grow and scale. So we've got
my podcast before this was about AI.
Listen, you got to shit or get off the pot. That's what's happening right now. I'm scared of it. I use it a lot. The basics of it, ChatGPT, have gotten pretty good, but there's so many tools now for so many things that I knew we had to focus on one topic to really be able to make an impact. We can't, because the last one that we had a guy who he's actually the brand content creator for Jeff Fenster, the Jeff Fenster show. His name is Andrew, and he has set up all sorts of automations and systems for him with AI to really streamline the podcast and how much content he creates for Jeff. And he shared a lot of that. He was the last speaker of the night, and people were just like firing questions at him. And I looked at Jamie and I'm like, we got to go down this rabbit hole. Like, it's what people are scared of, what they want to learn more about, and what's really going to move the needle for people once they learn how to utilize a lot of these platforms.
That sounds like a really amazing event.
Yeah, I can't wait to go. I know. And it's going to be mine. So I get to go. You know what I mean? That's the cool thing about creating something that you wish existed is sometimes you got to be the one to build the table or the room and curate it to be what you want. And so having the space has given me that freedom to be able to bring people to me. And if these events grow bigger, then we'll go rent a different space and do it somewhere else. But there's something about an intimate event that I really like because then I get an opportunity to talk to everybody. It's not as intimidating as the bigger rooms where there's 50 to 75 people. Profit margins aren't as good. Small events don't bring in a ton of profit, but that's not the point. The point of building community is to have that relationship capital and to know, hey, like I've put in good time with you. If I need something or I can ask you to refer me to somebody, like the power of networking goes far beyond like an immediate exchange of whether it's a sale or whatnot. It's building real relationships and being able to meet people outside of your normal everyday world and have conversations that get you to think different, get you to look at your business different, get you to appreciate life differently. I've gotten a ton from it. We've gotten tons of great feedback, and I hope we can keep growing them.
Well, do you remember I asked you like a month or two ago? I was like, where are you going? What events are you doing? Because I'm like, I need to get in new spaces. I don't know what has happened.
Yeah. There's so many. And then if you do end up like going down a rabbit hole with a mentor or two, you can get absorbed in their world and you start to forget about everybody else that exists. Yeah, I remember when you asked me that. And I was like, I've actually been looking for new rooms myself and new mentorship because I stayed really close to a few of my online mentors for quite a long time. And that served me forever. And then finally, I kind of looked up from the bubble and I was like, there's got to be other people out here teaching different things in different ways. I want to get on their master classes or be in their one-day masterminds or go to their events. Yeah, I have a new mentor now and she does a network marketing business. And that was the only way to have her be my mentor was to join her team. So I did. I was like, wow, didn't think I'd be doing this, but I love talking about my Target outfits and my gym clothes. And I don't have an Amazon link and I never started my like to know it. So I was like, why wouldn't I share these amazing products? Get high-level mentorship from this girl who I've been dreaming of learning from. She's one of the top female speakers in the speaker circuit. Okay, cool. If this is the way I got to access it, I'm in. You know what I mean? Sometimes you got to do things that you think you wouldn't normally do in order to get where you want to go.
Oh, I love that. That's actually a great reminder. You actually talked me into going to Powerhouse Women, so I am going to Women in August. Are you going to that?
Yes, I will be there. Yeah, Lindsay Schwartz puts on an amazing event. She brings like the coolest people together. And I think it's just a fun way to get to connect with other people who are eagerly looking to make new friends, get inspired, find people, especially like you. You have an established business. You help people with something they severely need help with and are desperately like looking for someone who can understand them and help them be more seen. Like, I think it's one thing to get random social media help. I think it's another thing to have someone like you who so deeply cares about helping that particular person have a tailored approach to how they're presented on social media. You do it to the next level. And so I think you're going to get a lot out of there. I think you're going to be able to meet a lot of cool people who will potentially be your clients. And maybe you'll find your next business bestie in there too. I think that's the cool thing about these rooms. But I always talk to people about networking and don't be the shy one that at break you go run to the bathroom or you go back to your room or you are like, I'm so tired from traveling. Like, I don't want to stay and talk to anybody. Say hello to the girl in line at the bathroom, get a drink with somebody or compliment somebody on their outfit or ask them where they got that purse from just to start a conversation because you really never know who you might have more in common with than you think if you just keep quiet or you don't say hello. A lot of people won't go to events by themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I actually realized I was doing that and I have go to the women's AA here. It's a really great group. But I was doing that at AA. I was just leaving. And seriously, like a month ago, I was realizing I'm like, all these people know each other very well. And I'm like, how do they know each other? So I would stay in my seat. And I had to do it like Monday. I was there and I was like very conscious. I was like, do not get up and leave. I just sat there and everyone chats with each other. It's like, you can't disappear.
No, exactly. And it's like, there are ways to check the box on certain things. And then there are ways to go really deep with something. And that's a perfect example of one small shift. Just I'm going to say 15 minutes, right? and I'm going to connect. Maybe you end up spending an hour. Maybe you meet your new sponsor or your sister best friend, or I don't know. That's the cool thing about giving yourself that time. And I tell people that when they're podcasting too, is to leave a little bit of magic time with your guests. Or if you're guesting on someone's show, don't be so rigid with your time that if you start getting into a really juicy conversation with someone that you run out of time, because that might be the only opportunity you get that hour with them, because maybe they're a high level coach that charges $5,000 an hour. And so you ain't getting back on their schedule, or vice versa. Maybe you get somebody gets you on the show and they want to talk to you some more, and they could turn into a potential client or a new best friend. So I think I've learned a lot when it comes to podcasting and how I structure my schedule too, is to leave time to have an actual heart-to-heart conversation and get to know my guests and or like the host if they're having me on, not just make it a transaction.
For real, so you're like, let's just shoot the shit.
Yeah. I'm like, can we actually just skip podcasting? I want to know, what have you been doing?
I know. I feel like I spent like the last year and some months like just being like, just get sober, Sam. And then I woke up and I was like, hold on, that was a huge growth moment for me, but I'm like, okay, we need to move now. It's time to move. But I just moved, literally physically, I moved my office over to a kiln. It's like a co-working space for you guys listening. But that was brave to me. There's all sorts of people here, like really high level businesses. And I'm like, and then what I also did, I invited so I work out with him. He's my friend Cody. We run together. We go to the gym together. But he is like very wicked, amazing at what he does. And he has all these other things he does. He has taught me so much, like in the past, like 2 weeks. But he sits right there and I'm like, hey, can you look at these numbers and like things for me? And like, it's like the proximity. Because people are like, you're going to share an office. And I was like, I wanted his brain. I really did. Don't tell him that.
Listen, that is the whole point of like why I joined this woman's network marketing business, because I wanted the proximity to her room. She does not offer a mastermind. She does not offer a coaching program. She offers two things. One, join my team and I will personally mentor you in that business. Two, she has a high ticket, like VIP branding company called Fortify, that they basically fortify your brand. They take you to the next level branding. So I invested in both. I was like, swipe the cards. I'm in, because I want to be fully in when I toe dip, and I get toe dip results where you're just like, that was like subpar. And it's no wonder that thing didn't really work out so well. So I've learned that if I'm going to do something like opening this space, launching those events, the Entrepreneur Success Series, go all in, commit to something for a certain amount of time, whether it's skin in the game, time, money, whatever. Trust me, when you swipe a card for $26,000, your ass is going to show up. At the same time, because I've been in so many high level rooms, I also know that I have other mentors who are charging double that for a year-long mastermind that does not include any done for you or whatever. So I think sometimes when you can compare and contrast and really know who you are and what you need in the season of business, you'll know how to make decisions easier and what you need in this moment. Do I need a coach? Do I need a mentor? Do I need proximity to that guy? So I'll share an office with him and move complete offices across town. That is when you start to become discerning. Or what do I need? Not just what is everybody else doing, but what do I need? And you got to screw what people are going to say and judge you and just go like blinders on and get your shit done. And I swear to God, like that will be the biggest needle mover and change the game for you if you're in the online space.
Oh, it's already, I would say, the last 2 weeks. So I'm like, woo, we are moving. But I also need to be in proximity to other business owners, because where I was, there was an esthetician back there, super lovely. But I was like, I need to be in proximity to other business owners who are like doing big things.
Yes and yes.
So, yes and yes.
I love that.
So you mentioned that you do glam and stuff for people and help them shoot content. What are you doing in that space? Because that's pretty rad.
It's so fun. That's the thing. Like when I thought I was going to quit and never touch hair and makeup again, I was like, I could utilize this skill set to get my ass in some rooms. And so that's what I did a couple of years ago when I couldn't really afford to get in some of these high ticket rooms, is I pitched myself to do hair and makeup for free to get into these rooms that were like 10 grand at the time. And it paid dividends. And at the same time, I was like, this is cool. But also I got really great feedback that my energy in the room before they went and spoke on stage was appreciated, and that they loved being around me, and that I was able to hold space. So I was like, oh, this is a two-sided gifted skill set. Not only are they getting like a tangible, like, here's your hair and makeup, they're getting someone that they can talk to. Because you know how you talk to your hairdresser or your makeup artist? I literally get to hear so many cool things. And so that parlayed into getting to do other speakers' makeup, other people who put on huge events. I've got to work with some really awesome people and be behind the scenes and see the production and what goes on and learn the insights. And so, and all the things I've invested time in, like I learned that they're all parts of me and I can leverage them at different times. And so when I created the space, I moved half of my like nicer wardrobe into the space. I put built-in closets because I'm like, I don't wear half this stuff. I'm not going to sell it. Blazers, outfits, things you've worn once. And so I have this whole wardrobe that I'm like, we could do photo shoots here. Like it's a pretty universal sizes, some of it. I have tons of shoes. Like I got a camera. I have the lighting. I've got the space for it. I have a friend who's a photographer who's going to start working here. I had a videographer friend. And so I just started pitching that we're doing VIP days because I used to do them with just strategy and people would fly into town. We'd sit down and do a whole VIP with like your funnel, your offerings, all that. But they didn't get any like done for you content, maybe a little bit of B-roll. So now we get to provide these like high ticket packages where they get a lot of content. And we're like, what do you need content for? Where are these videos going? We record them. We did a whole one in Arizona for one of my clients. She launched a new website. And so I brought in the team. We got the photos, the videos. It's also a little product company that she's adding. So we got like bottle shots and just the whole thing. It was just like such a beautiful gift to be able to be the creative director that I always wanted to be, see myself as. But then also, I still got to do her hair and makeup and style her. In fact, that's where I talk about you don't always have to give up parts of you or what you do in your business to make it make sense. But sometimes you got to pull back a little bit and put yourself out there in different ways so that people know you for doing more than just what they think you do. And that's hard to do sometimes because some people aren't willing to show up on their stories and talk about everything in their life. Some people aren't willing to create a business out of what they might find as a hobby. Or maybe somebody doesn't see that they're worthy enough to charge certain prices. The fact that I'm spending this much money with this girl, I'm going to be taking notes on how she does the branding for me because I want to turn around and do that for my clients. And so not only am I investing in myself or my brand and my pictures and my new logo, I'm going to be taking notes like a mother trucker and I'm going to be re-implementing that. That's how most masters learn. They learn from somebody, then they turn around and teach the thing. Someone helped you with social media, I'm sure, and then you turn around and now you do it.
No, actually, I've been doing this for a decade, so I had to come in and pioneer it.
And I'm sure people have learned from you then.
Yeah, I was like, no, literally, it was like, and I don't know anyone in my proximity who does like what I do. It's really interesting.
You're unique. You do a lot more than most people.
Yeah, which I like listening to you, and I'm like, your people will be like the perfect, because I'm always like, let's get the photo, let's get the branding, let's do all, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so like relieving when someone comes to you with all of that.
That's why let's tell the story. That's why I brought a client to you recently that I was like, she's ready for you because she has all the assets. We have the folders full of the content. She's ready to go. I have the vision and the plan. I was there when we shot it. Like it was going to be such a beautiful marriage. And I hope that once she's ready, that she will bring you into the business. And I think she will. But I know that for some people, success is scary. And they may record the content, they may get the videos, but then actually launching it and putting it out there, you will not believe how many people have come into our podcast management with Media Unscripted, paid the $3,500 for the launch, even recorded a couple episodes, and still will not let us launch their show.
Okay, so yes, let's
Do you
go
believe
there.
that?
No, we're kind of changing like our structure over here and the type of clients we work with. But one thing, I've been talking to someone about coming on board and being like client management because it gets exhausting. I'm like, I've had to turn into a therapist. And people really, you guys, it's true. Like when people say they sabotage their success, it's absolutely true. I watch it all the time. I'll watch people. We had one girl, she was going like mega viral consistently. She went from 0 to 25,000 on TikTok in 8 weeks. And instead of it being success, and we have the support. I was like, I've got someone, the DMs answering for you because I know it gets overwhelming. You know what I'm saying? So the support was there, but all of a sudden they're deleting posts. It was really interesting. So I've seen like that. I've seen people, once their content gets moving and getting seen, all of a sudden they're coming up with stories and different things. And I've seen all of it. So I'm hoping to bring someone in to kind of mitigate that.
Well, let's talk about that because I think it's something that people don't admit or don't realize that is actually holding them back is the fear of success, the fear of what they think they want to do working. Like, what if it does work out? What will I do then? What will people think of me when shit blows off? It is a real thing. And I actually struggled with that for the longest time. And it kept me from showing up because I was like convinced, oh, just be in the moment. You don't need to take a video of this. You don't need to document this. You don't need to create a reel. But then when I would want to sit down and create a reel, I wouldn't have any content because I didn't take any pictures. It's like catch-22. It's so crazy. But I think for the longest time, I kind of did hide behind the microphone with the podcast because it was an easier way for me to just talk. But then even I wouldn't market the show as much as I could. I dropped the episode on a Friday and just put one post up and I wouldn't really dig into how impactful the show was. And I think we all have that little bit of play small, because some of us are actually smart, and we know that with more fame and more growth, that is going to be more work. So yes, while that girl maybe had more support, maybe she was scared of the work that was going to come with it. I don't know. You can't speak for everybody, but what do you think it is that gets people in their own way like that? Like, how have you seen like
It's
people
interesting because they've even had someone who freaks out because the post is getting really good traction. She was upset because we had bolded the font, and that wasn't part of her brand guide to have a bold font. And I was like, we couldn't read it. So I think that it shows up in multiple different ways. But I think what it is, we get really in our heads about what people are thinking about us. People think this about me or this about me. And I'm like, you asked for this. You know what I mean? So it's almost like you have to be ready for the things that you ask for.
Yeah. Yeah. And that takes embodiment work, alignment work, belief work. And I love listening to Marissa Pierce. She's on YouTube. You can listen to her belief, like meditations, and Joe Dispenza is a good one. If you are somebody who's, oh shit, they're talking to me. That's what happens to me. I do that shit. There are tools that are free resources like on YouTube to listen to. My good friend, Brenda Johnston, she has a podcast where
Oh, Brenda. Yeah, Brenda's my bestie.
yeah, fuck, her podcasts are the best. Let's shout out her. I love her so much. She literally has the best podcast for getting out of your own way and manifesting things. And yeah, you talk about your bestie. She's amazing.
No, her podcast is incredible. I just wanted to say, I'm like, I love Brenda. I support everything you're saying.
And just like you provide resources and support for your clients, there's people who provide resources and support for you going to the next level in your life or business. Because listen, the last 2 podcasts I was on, I was like, what's the thing you want women founders to take away? And she was like, to get the fuck out of your own way.
Yeah.
And then what landed for me was, if you're keeping your service or gifts to yourself, you're being selfish. If you have that innate calling to serve and to show up and to share your shit, and you're not doing it, you're really not listening to God's calling. If we're just going to call it what it is, like, that's placed on your heart for a reason. You wanted whatever it was you said you wanted to start with. So let yourself follow through with it and see where it takes you.
You just have to be really self-aware, because I'll catch myself in weird behaviors, right? So I remember there was a title of a podcast that went out, and I was like, I flipped out, and I don't even care what my podcasts are titled. You need to leave that out to your podcast expert, right? They're going to SEO it. They're going to do all the things. But I think, you have to get curious with yourself. You're like, why was that such a big deal? Why am I acting like this? And so you have to stop yourself immediately and be like, why am I acting like this? And what it came down to is I was just scared of being judged by the random listener, whoever saw it. Yep. I was scared of being judged. And I wanted to stay safe. I remember I was on a trip, like an overnight trip with my husband too. And it's like, I wanted to stay safe and hang out with him. And I remember thinking it'd be just nice if we stayed in this hotel room and nobody knew me and no one ever talked about me.
That's why when you came on and you were like, famous Jess, I was like, okay, I'll take it. I'll take it. You know what I mean? And you never know how someone's going to perceive you. Like, somebody else is going to be like, Jess who? You know what I mean? So that's where it's all relative to how you want to show up. If you think you're nobody and you show up on social media like you're not a big deal, then no one's going to think you're a big deal. No one's going to take your brand seriously or what you have to offer. If you come on like you are just in full ownership of who you are, and I've been trying to lead by example and be more myself on video, because I am a goofball. And poor Scott, when he catches me on some pre-workout or 2 coffees, he's, oh my God. I'm like, you should film me. I might post it. Like, when you learn to just be unapologetically you, and I know it's hard to film yourself sometimes. I know it's hard to set up the camera. It takes time and all of that. But really, that's the way we connect. That's what the platforms were created for, us to be social and for you to stand out in just your small, unique ways. You don't have to be a freaking weirdo. If you want to be a weirdo, but I was like, I just wanted to be able to own that. And I think being able to do that the last couple of months, since being really grounded in this space, like something shifted, and I'm just more open to sharing more of who I am and all of the pieces, all the parts, whether people don't like it or not. I actually made a story yesterday. I opened up Instagram and I could tell it went from 10.9 to 10.8. And I was like, I lost some followers. I was like, good for me. I literally had a whole moment where I was like, cool, good. I'm glad whatever I'm saying is annoying people, because they shouldn't be here if they don't like what I have to say. That's cool. That's the power of choice. And I unfollow people all the time if they start going on tangents or I don't really love what they have to say. I usually won't unfollow them. I'll just mute their stories for a while. But I was like, what an interesting moment I had of reflection with myself when I opened it and I saw the number went down.
You know what I've loved about your stories, like on Instagram, is that you're just like talking. You're just like shooting the shit. And I'm like, oh, look at her.
It's what I do on the podcast. So it's like, I'm trying to show people that I had a conversation with this girl at an event I spoke at about podcasting, and she's really wanting to start a show. And I said, why don't you challenge yourself to show up and do a live every week? Like once a week, post it at the same time, and see if you can do that for a couple of months. And if you like it, then maybe you'll be ready for a podcast. Because she says, I really want to start a podcast, but time scared, whatever. And so she did one yesterday and she tagged me in it and gave me a little bit of credit for telling her to do the lives. And afterwards she was like, I'm like still shaking. I was like nervous. And I'm like, oh my God, I remember that feeling in my stomach like it was yesterday. I used to get a knot in my stomach before I would hit record, whether it was a solo or I had a guest. I'd be sweating. The room would all of a sudden get super hot. And then I remember the day where I sat down with a guest and I think I wasn't even that prepared, but I had gone through their Instagram. I knew what I kind of wanted to ask and that feeling wasn't there anymore. And I was like, holy shit, we're here. Okay. We would have never got here if we hadn't started. And then same with speaking. I used to not be able to not like the mic shake in my hand. And I got to speak a few weeks ago and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not nervous. I'm excited. I'm able to control the room. Yeah, I've been practicing with my own events for the last 6 months, speaking on my own stage. So it's interesting when things will finally click for you, whether some of you are probably nodding like, oh, I know what you're talking about, because we've all been new at something. And I think when I moved from the behind the chair business into the online space, I thought it would just be like this lateral move where I'd be like uber successful here and then just all of a sudden be like the same over here. And it was a rude awakening to be a newbie and a beginner and to not know things and to be like the lowest on the totem pole or the quote unquote stupidest person in the room. But I finally had to embrace that it's not imposter syndrome. How would you know how to do this? You've never done it before. You're just new. You're never going to get to not new until you start doing the things. You're never going to get to episode 10 unless you record one. You're never going to get to 100 downloads unless you get to 10. So it's just keep chipping away. But if I keep looking at what my predecessors have done, like my girlfriend, Lori Harder, she has 65 million downloads. I'm never going to catch up. Okay. I'm not. She has 1,100 episodes.
I'm like, how did you get 65 million downloads? Like how? Like that's so many downloads.
She has like 1,200 episodes out. She's been doing it for almost 10 years. That's how.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's how. And at one point she was a psychopath and was doing like 3 or 4 episodes a week. My buddy, Matt Gottesman, same thing. He blew his podcast up. He gets like, I think 100,000 downloads a month. And it's a solo podcast that he riffs. He does 4 or 5 episodes a week. It's just, you got to go at your own pace. And if you look at what someone else is doing that seems further or better than you, you're going to steal all the joy of your own journey. You're going to ruin the process for yourself. And you're going to probably quit because you're trying to keep up with people who started way before you and who are on step 100 and you're on step 1.
Okay, you want to know what I've been doing?
Yeah, what do you do? Throw yourself under the bus.
I've been doing some TikTok lives.
Oh my gosh. Wait, see, I don't even use TikTok, so teach me something. There's TikTok lives?
Oh yeah, it's a huge part of TikTok. Is the TikTok lives.
Okay. Starting tomorrow.
Okay, yeah, but I've learned some lessons in my first week of a TikTok library, okay?
Okay, let's go. What are they? I'm going to take notes. I got my pen.
There's a lesson 1. First of all, what I do is I am one of those people who if I commit to something, come hell or high water, I'm going to do it, right? So I'm like, with my friend Laura, she does Sober Life Rocks. I'm like, let's go live together. Like someone to hold your hand, committed. So I go live and then it turns out, this is something you need to know. You can't just unlock all the features of TikTok Live until you've done certain things. So I had to sit on that live by myself, which I carried it, but I couldn't, the guest feature was locked. So you have to go live 3 times for 30 minutes before you can unlock a bunch of features on TikTok Live.
Okay, live for 30 minutes for 3 times.
Yes.
Before a guest can join. Okay, that's...
Yeah, there were like quite a few features you can't unlock, but I've got them unlocked now. And then, but yeah, I just, like you're saying, like I'm live and I don't really know what's going on because there's a lot that goes into it. Like people give you gifts, there's like all these things happening. And the longer you're on, the more people come. And so I'm like, I just tell people though, I'm like, I have no idea what's happening. I am 40 years old and this is new. But it's kind of cool. And so then, of course, like at night, I've been like binging TikTok lives because I've been like trying to figure out like what's this world and what's this space.
Yeah.
A lot of it is just, it's so low key and chill. Like people will just be on, like there's one girl, she's lost a ton of weight. I love her story. But she just meal preps while she's live and just sits and talks to people about her weight loss journey. It's very chill. Some people are like listening to music and talking about different music. Some people are like just literally like shooting the shit about different things. The chillest thing I've ever seen.
I'm starting tomorrow.
Are
I
you
can
going?
start today. As soon as we're off this, I'm going to do a TikTok live.
I can't believe I don't follow you on TikTok. Do you post over there?
I had an assistant who talked me into putting stuff on TikTok. And so I have one. And I think we put a bunch of podcast content on there.
Yeah, which that's kind of, yeah, we could talk about that another time. But
Yeah.
TikTok is one that chill. It's like your content over there. I always just say it needs to be a little unhinged and it's very raw. Like you talking in the car, killer TikTok content.
And I think it doesn't do well on Instagram. I don't think I get a lot of feedback on Instagram. I think people like to click through Instagram stories. And unless you're like half naked or you're sharing a free recipe, or I don't really know what keeps people on stories. I have a lot of my friends that like it because I do captions on everything because they're like, most of the time I can't listen.
Yeah.
Like people use Instagram like in the car when they're in the bathroom. It's like times where they're like waiting at the doctor's office so they can't turn it on. Yeah. Okay.
But-
TikTok, maybe I need to move over to TikTok then because I literally have never gone viral on anything with Instagram.
Fuck, I mean, so I've been really consistent since October, and I did like this spring. I wasn't very consistent for 1 month, but I'm gaining about 100 people a day. Like I gained 1,000 followers last week.
Wow.
But the Instagram, yeah, I can't get the needle to move.
Interesting. And so do you do social media for TikTok as well? Do you post on all the platforms?
Well, yes. And I told you that. I said, I don't like to bring on clients who won't be on TikTok.
Okay.
It's one of our biggest like drivers of traffic.
I
But I
like
do
that.
have clients that go viral on Instagram and get good traction there. So I'm not like throwing the platform under the bus.
No.
I just think that if you're not using TikTok, I'm like, what's wrong with you? This is the biggest social media platform.
Wild.
Yeah.
Bigger than- yeah. Okay. There we go, guys. There's your takeaway for the day. So if you do have a podcast or want to start a podcast and you're scared, get on TikTok lives for a while and see if you like that. You might not even have to do a podcast.
You'll enjoy this because you're a podcaster. You have your podcast course. You help people launch their podcasts, right?
Yes.
Okay. I like it. I'm open. Right.
Yes.
Blink twice if we're on track here. So you'll like this though. I can track my TikTok views with how much my downloads are. So right now my podcast downloads have doubled this last week. And my TikTok views, like I'm having social media is a roller coaster. So I'm having a spike over on TikTok, which I've noticed it came down today. But so I can track that with my podcast views. And I've done it with other clients too.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So as my TikTok goes up, like my views are going up. People are talking in the comments about my podcast. My podcast downloads are going up.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's good news. Okay. As a podcaster, I guess I better get my ass over there. Okay. Good food for thought.
Actually, I had a client, we're not working with her anymore, but it was like her podcast it like blew up and she was blowing it, but it was directly correlated to TikTok. She was blowing up on TikTok. She went to like 360,000 followers.
Holy shit. Okay. I'm sold. Guys, are you sold? Who's going to join me on TikTok? Let's go.
I know. I'm always surprised when I still have to talk people into TikTok. I'm like, what do you mean? You're a client. Your people aren't on TikTok.
I know. And that's not it. I think for me, what it was, I felt so overwhelmed with having the podcast, having Instagram, email marketing. Like I just, and then finally someone was like, just pick a platform, show up consistently on that platform. And it's grown. Like I grew to almost 11,000 followers organically on my page without ever going viral. It does move the needle. You just got to be really consistent at it. But I'm curious. Yeah. Let's take the unhinged content over to TikTok and see what happens.
Yeah. My in-person podcast clips, like when I get someone like in studio to record with me, those ones do really well. I just had a guest on, Beth, and one of her clips we got 14,000 views. But the other thing I've noticed too, now we're just talking strategy, is I've noticed that TikTok views feels like further than an Instagram view, right? So it has 14,000 views, but it'll have a ton of saves, a ton of comments. And a lot of times over on Instagram, like posts will get 14,000 views with no traction. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do know what you're saying. Yeah, I've noticed that. Or you get a handful of comments and then it kind of goes dead. Nobody sees it after that day.
Yeah, I've noticed a TikTok view goes a lot further than an Instagram view.
I'm so curious. If you guys listen to this episode, let us know. Are you on TikTok too? Or what are you guys on? What's your favorite platform?
I guarantee you a whole bunch of people who listen to this came from TikTok.
Okay, cool. You guys come follow me on TikTok then, Jessica Burgio. I'm on there. So go follow me and tell us that you heard this episode.
You're also on Instagram.
Yes, I'm mostly on Instagram. Yes.
Oh my God. Tell the people how you help them.
Yes. So I did create a course called Start Your Damn Podcast where I fully help people step into owning their voice through starting a podcast, because a lot of us want to create more visibility, want to become known as thought leaders in our space. And I do believe a podcast is like just as important as some of these platforms. If you don't like creating content, a podcast can give you tons of content to pull from, whether it's video clips like from what we're doing right now on Zoom, or just like stuff that you can transcribe into a blog post, a newsletter, captions for your stories. throw this stuff into ChatGPT, have it create you some really great content around your own thought leadership, right? Not something that you ask chat to write for you, but to refine it and to help it be of value to people who are potentially going to get into your world. But my favorite thing to do is bring you into our podcast management service, because then you get me full-time in your business as well. And then you get access to the membership, which is a podcast membership for female podcasters called Unscripted, the Unscripted Network. And that's for anybody who has an active podcast or you just launched your show. With management, you get that for free. If you just have a podcast that maybe you DIY yourself and you do it yourself, or you have your own management team, we're a community of female podcasters who want to collaborate and grow. I bring in other guest podcast experts who have grown their shows substantially. They come and teach. And so it's kind of like a mini mastermind for podcasters.
Oh, that's cool. Because I obviously have my awesome podcast editor, Jen, who's editing this, right? Yeah. So how does that, so you're saying you have a community for podcasters?
Yes, that's what I noticed whenever I would join a mastermind. There was always something missing. There wasn't one through line that everybody had in common. Yes, we were all entrepreneurs. Yes, we were all business owners, but there was something missing. So for me, I was like, what if I just take the one thing I love doing, which is helping people start podcasts, and I love podcasting, and I created a mastermind-esque around it. So I was like, I don't want it to be called a mastermind because I don't want that commitment level of people thinking it's going to be super high ticket or there's weekly calls. So I was like, how do we do one major touch point a month with one guest expert? So I called it a network, a podcast network, a community network. And it's essentially, like I said, for anybody, a female podcaster who wants to be in community with other podcasters, where we talk strategy, we talk business, we talk about things like this, right? Do I get on TikTok? Do I share my content over?
I was like, you should let me talk to them about TikTok. Yeah.
Absolutely. You're in. Okay. We've got somebody for August. So you come in September. Or July. Yeah. August. Yes. But that's the cool thing is like, you can literally create any room that you want. And this was something that I was deeply craving, was connection with other podcasters. How are you growing? How are you staying consistent? How are you staying in the game? A lot of people want to stop their podcast after a certain amount of time. And I'm like, the podcast space is not going anywhere. It's like podcasting is that content piece that can drive traffic to so many other things. But for me, the biggest thing it's done is, one, help me find my voice and build so much confidence around who I am, what I stand for, the things I love to talk about. I think also the relationship capital that I've been able to build with people I've had on the show. You get an uninterrupted 20 to 45 minutes, sometimes an hour with somebody. You really get to know them, and like you get to connect on a different level than if you just do a transaction or a like or a comment on their stories. I have had people on the show that I wouldn't have been able to afford access to come on and speak into my group of community listeners. And that's why I'm a huge advocate for having podcasts. But I do not believe everybody needs to have a podcast. I think a lot of us can get really good at guesting on podcasts, because great hosts need good guests on our show too. So if you're somebody who has like a core mission and you want to share one freaking thing, then get really good at your keynote, drive a lot of value, and go pitch yourself on other people's shows, because we're always looking for someone who can deliver high value and who really wants to serve. Yeah, have an offer on the back end too. That's cool. Everyone loves to be sold to. Don't get it twisted. Like, my audience loves when I vet good people and bring them on. Like when Sam comes on, I'm like, if you guys want like the best, most experienced social media management company, like this person will give you everything she's got. People trust you when they listen to your show. So they build up that know and trust, and or they realize that you're not for them and they don't come into your world. They leave you. So that's good too. But that community has been a game changer. It's slowly growing because a lot of people don't really know what it is that I offer. But I think if you are a podcaster, sometimes it can get a little bit lonely to sit behind the camera and talk all the time and not be in community with people who are doing what you're doing.
Yeah, it does. It really does. So that's awesome. I love that. Where's that at? Like, where can I find that?
Yeah, on my Instagram, you can find it, the Unscripted Network. There's a link in there in my bio. Or if you're interested in joining it or have questions, just shoot me a DM, send me a voice note, and I'll tell you all about it and send you the link so you can check it out.
Okay. I have one more question for you, and then we're going to wrap up. Like, what is next for Jessica Burgio?
I told you guys I invested in my new mentor. And so I have joined that company, and I'm leaning into the thing that I always kind of hid behind, which is my obsession for health and wellness and aging backwards, if you will. I am not afraid to get older, but I don't want to feel older. I want to feel my best. I want to feel like my healthiest. So I'm so in alignment with this company and its products. I'm actually like so thankful that this was the only way I could get access to her, because it's turned me on to a whole new community of people who really care deeply about their health and fitness. And so I get to now lead with that. We have some really great products. And so I'm hoping to really grow that business and bring in other founders with the company with me. to grow and scale a residual based business that will then help you create the life of your dreams, have the freedom to podcast wherever you want, to not have to monetize every single thing that you like in life, right? You go to a Pilates class, you're like, I'm opening Pilates studios. Like everyone's looking for a way to make easy money. Yeah, guilty. Yeah. Hello. I think residual income is like the thing you'll never work harder for, but the payoff is continual. And I think a lot of us have one-off transactional type businesses, and we're just so burnt out from launching and pitching and marketing and sales and launching and pitching. It's if you can create a client base in this type of a business and you can run with ambassadors, which people who are your business partners, you can create such epic residual income that you can then do whatever you want. Every mentor that I've ever had, fun fact, has actually built a multi-million-dollar network marketing business before they then parlayed that into their own brand. Every single mentor.
There's a ton of like women that I know exactly what you're saying. It's like super interesting to me.
But people have this weird cringy vibe on network marketing thinking it's some pyramid scheme. And I'm like, you buy product from people you don't even know who owns the company. You shop on Amazon and you have no clue who's getting that commission, who from nothing. You do a store and you buy something. Who do you think it's the owner? You don't know. Where did they get it from? The wholesale department. Who did they get it from? It's the same thing. Everything's coming from somewhere. You know, what's crazy in this world is a lot of those big companies just went affiliate. So Modere, which has this insane collagen, Beachbody went affiliate, Rodan and Fields. So we've had like over 200,000 people join Shackley in the last year alone. So the company's blowing up. They rebranded it. The guy who rebranded Burberry bought the company. He's like the head of Network Marketing Federation. So I drank the Kool-Aid, guys. And I think it's one of the cool things where if you can get passionate about something and it's attached to an ethos of who you are, which for me, it's health and wellness. When I was leading with the podcast stuff as like what I sold, I had my social media management friend tell me, stop posting your workouts. Don't share your fitness pictures. It's not what you sell. And while I agree, it's who I am.
Yeah, no, I was like, I don't agree with that.
So at the same time, I would get jealous and I would get these weird pings when I would see my fitness friends get to post about like the brands they were working with and the companies that they were sharing. And I'm like, I want to do that, but how do I do that with what I'm doing? And I'm like, so many people are focused on how do I monetize my podcast? That's the first question I get asked every time. I want to start a podcast. How do I monetize it? And I'm like, what do you have to sell? Sell something of your own, sell something of somebody else's. Like you're an affiliate for somebody else. I'm an affiliate for so many other people's amazing products, mastermind services, companies, like you name it. I get a cut of so many people's shit because I don't do that. So why would I not tell you about my friend who does? It's no different than being like, this is the shake I drink and you should try it and buy it too. So that's where I am trying to destigmatize it on my own show as, listen, guys, you can fucking get behind anything as long as it like has a purpose in your life and it means something to you. That business will flow and be easy. I've never had so much business support in my life and training. So this team is the one you want to run with. So if you're hearing this randomly and you're like, oh my God, who is this bitch? Hit me up. I would love to chat with you about it.
I love that. Okay, we'll have just links in the show notes. And thank you for your time today. Thank you for your beautiful light. And thanks for being on the Samantha Parker Show.
Thanks, girl.
Do you ever get really